Hello, I'm Jo Clay. I'm the local member for Ginninderra, and I'm here with Tim Hollo, who is our Greens candidate for the seat of Canberra.
Hey Joe, lovely to be here with your kids and my kids and so many others.
Yeah, it's good, isn't it? I always get really happy at the school strikes. I'm sad about climate change, but when I see the kids who are so clear and so well organised, and they just know exactly what we need to do, and I just know that we can do it.
They stand up and they just give us hope, don't they? It's fantastic. I'm super proud. My kid Jimmy is one of the organisers of this strike and was just up on stage and just picked up the phone and called the Prime Minister's office, and we all had a chant to the Prime Minister's office, and of course they hung up. But as Jimmy said, that shows they're scared.
The Prime Minister hung up?
Well, not the Prime Minister himself. It was the Prime Minister's electorate office, and they hung up the phone.
Interesting. And do you think any of the message got through?
Definitely. I think they knew who it was and what was going on, and the Prime Minister should be really worried that these are huge crowds gathering here in Canberra and all around the country, kids and their parents and their older siblings and their aunts and uncles and their supporters.
I think it's hard, isn't it? I've been chatting about climate change with Xander, with my daughter, today, and we've chatted about trees and carbon cycles and the ocean, and I think we're at that point where it's just very, very difficult to argue against simple ideas that work and big problems that are just so clearly here already.
Right, the time has come. Like as these kids have been saying, this is their future, it's our future. Climate change is here right now. It is causing serious harm, and we know what to do about it. And the kids are saying they know what to do about it, we all know what to do about it, so let's just get on with it and do it.
Now, Tim, we're in Canberra, so we're using equipment that has been charged up on 100% renewable electricity right now. Tell me, if you can, why do you think our federal government is pushing for a gas-led recovery from the ACT, which has kind of moved beyond it?
Yeah, totally. Look, the ACT is way up there with 100% renewable electricity, thanks to the Greens being a key part of government for a number of years. Look, what's going on in the federal sphere is money talks, louder than anything else. They're getting major donations from Santos, from Woodside, from Rio Tinto. It goes to both the major parties. And unfortunately, the Liberal National Coalition is a wholly owned subsidiary, basically, of the fossil fuel corporations. And the Labor Party too often is a willing partner in that. And we just need to move politics right beyond that, and we need to drown them out. We need to drown out the donors and stand in the way of that revolving door between ministers' offices and fossil fuel corporations, and move our politics past it.
So if you managed to win a seat for the Greens, what do you think you would do with it for the climate?
Look, I think the role of the Greens in politics, as we demonstrate here in the ACT so strongly and have demonstrated, for instance, during the Gillard government years, is to be the voice of the people and the voice of the conscience of the people, and drag the governing parties in the right direction, basically, to stand up and say, no, hang on a second. Listen to what the science is saying, listen to what the people are saying, and ensure that it can't be ignored in Parliament. I think there's a really good chance that we can win both the Senate spot here in the ACT and the seat of Canberra, and deliver a minority Labor government which won't be able to ignore the voice of the people and the voice of the science, and really ensure that they move with the times.
Now, I know a lot of people get a bit worried when they hear about minority governments. They sort of think it's chaos. Do you think there are perhaps any lessons that you could see close by of minority Labor governments that maybe are delivering quite good and stable government?
Yeah, look, you don't have to look very far, do you? The ACT is a brilliant example of how Labor and the Greens can work together cooperatively to deliver good outcomes. And look, we saw that in the Gillard years too. People were always yelling and shouting, oh, it's chaotic, it's difficult. Actually, the majority Rudd government was much more chaotic than the minority Gillard government. The minority Gillard government delivered the most amazing suite of reforms that we've had in this country, probably since the Whitlam era, because people had to talk and work together to get to good outcomes. And that's what politics should be about. Politics shouldn't be a shouting match. It should be where people with different views get together and work out a good way through, and that's what a minority government can deliver.
I'm just going to wind it back a bit, because we touched on something earlier that I think maybe not everybody knows. There's corporate donations going to... Hey! That's
Dave Caffrey's truck.
Yeah, Dave Caffrey's pink party bus is in the background.
Excellent.
Now, we talked about some of the problems with corporate donations and how maybe that's interfered with the politics. And the Greens don't take corporate donations?
We don't take any corporate donations. That's been part of our policy for a long time. In fact, any donation above about $1,000, we kind of actually investigate whether we think it's ethically the right thing to do. And we've been moving for years to try to ban corporate donations. But yeah, both the major parties, unfortunately, still take very large sums. And it corrupts our politics. It corrupts the decision making that is all about our common future.
And how much of our public money at the moment is going into fossil fuel subsidies? We hear a lot that fossil fuels are making jobs and that climate action is expensive. How much is non-climate action costing us right now?
Yeah, action to destroy the climate is costing us. In the last federal budget, the Greens' Adam Bandt's office calculated it's about $50 billion in subsidies to the fossil fuel industry, which is just extraordinary. A huge chunk of that is the diesel fuel rebate, where mining corporations don't pay any tax on the diesel fuel that they buy. Whereas all of the rest of us, if you buy petrol, you have to pay tax, you pay the excise on that petrol. Mining companies don't pay any tax. That's a massive handout. This new gas plant that they want to build in the Hunter Valley, the Curry gas plant, $600 million the government wants to put into that. How many jobs? 10. 10 jobs. $60 million per job.
So I think if I were in the Hunter Valley, I'd probably rather the $60 million. Thanks.
Right.
That would be quite a nice outcome.
Yeah.
And not the mine, perhaps.
Genuinely, you could pay every single worker in the fossil fuel industry a good income for the rest of their lives, not to work in the fossil fuel industry anymore.
And what's the other consequences when we're putting subsidies into old technology like diesel? Do you think maybe if we weren't massively subsidising diesel, we might have electrified some of that?
You might be right there. You have to think, yeah.
So perhaps if we're pouring money out the back window into things that aren't working anymore, is that causing its own problems?
Absolutely. The thing is, renewable energy is absolutely viable now. The solutions are ready. The main problem now is not that they're not getting enough support. It's that governments, like this mob up on the hill, are actively holding them back and supporting the old technologies that are destroying the planet. It's the definition of insanity, genuine.
Now we've got a bit of action. I'm wondering if we want to get a bit of a check of what's going on around us. If our competent cameraman might want to do a bit of a sweep of the crowd. There's quite a few people here. We've got some pretty interesting costumes going on. I see a green-haired witch. That's pretty fun. There's pink-haired. There's a lot of people waving. We've got a bit of music going on. We've had some chanting. What was the most fun sign that you saw today, Tim?
There've been some fantastic ones. What's that one over there? Make love, not coal. That's a good one.
There's a number of protest dogs here as well. I always like to meet the protest dogs. My daughter's making sure they're well looked after at the moment, so that's pretty good.
Excellent. Thanks, Joe.
Thanks, Tim.